Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Rising. Look who it is. Krystal.
Yay!
What's going on today?
Well, first, what's going on is you are back, which is lovely.
Woo.
Second of all, Beto, not doing so hot. You're taking a look at that. And some things going on with this Lordstown auto plant that I want to talk about as well. We'll get into all of that and much more today on Rising. All right, my friend, what are you looking at this morning?
So, Krystal, I was all excited for this election season to talk about one Beto O'Rourke, but it looks like Beto might be dunzo. He is plummeting in the polls. In fact, if you were to do a quick Google search of Beto O'Rourke and the news today, you'd see, can Beto bounce back, ? Beto falters, a new progressive straw poll. Beto is polling worse than ever. That's just today. It has gotten rough for him, and he also decided to apologize for the way he acted after his loss to Ted Cruz to his staff. He looks like a man who is flailing. I would just wonder what has changed here. He was a media darling at one point. People were all so excited about him. And is this perhaps something of a cautionary tale for other Democrat candidates that if you're going to get into this crowded race, you better bring your A game, or at least not your Beto game? Boom! So
you're on it this
see
morning.
What I did there? Thank you. That's fun. So, I mean, look, Krystal, I think this guy is not where anybody thought he'd be at this point, which is almost off the debate stage.
Yeah, I think people fell in love with the idea of Beto. Like, he's got the right look and he's the right age, and he was able to capture a little bit of magic in Texas and make people believe that possibly he could beat Ted Cruz. But it turned out that the substance just wasn't really there. And he's done a lot of apologizing, which is not, I mean, I appreciate the self-reflection, but ultimately I think it's made him look kind of weak. When he apologized to his wife, he apologized for doing that Vanity Fair cover. Now he's apologizing to his staff for what looked like, pretty not great behavior during
I actually forgot how much apologizing he had done until you told me, and now I agree. That's way too much apologizing.
It's too much apologizing. It's not a good look. And if you're in the position where you're so uncertain that you are misstepping to the amount that it's appropriate to be apologizing that much, maybe just rethink the whole thing.
But you actually brought to my attention today before we came on there, the Democrats are making some changes to make sure that you don't have the third tier taking up too much oxygen at those debates.
Yeah, so interestingly, there's been a lot of fixation on who's going to meet the debate criteria, pushed to 65,000 donors or 1% in 4 national polls. So they are upping the ante significantly for the third debate, which is in September, basically doubling the criteria. You have to be at 2% in 4 different polls. And not either or, now it's and you have to have 130,000 donors. I think Beto actually will make that cut. Beto, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie, Biden. Beyond that, I'm not sure who else is going to make the cut. I may have missed 1 or 2 there, but it'll be a significant narrowing of the field. And I think that's appropriate. I mean, people have had their chance at the first debate to kind of make their case, maybe have a breakout moment, first or second debate, and then by the time we get to September, it's time to get serious.
I think you're forgetting the inevitable Hickenlooper super bump that no one thinks is coming.
Well, who could actually potentially make this criteria is also Andrew Yang. I mean, he's got...
I'm kind of secretly in the Yang gang. I like that guy.
I hope he does, because he's interesting and he's different. I have known Andrew for a long time, and I do like him on a personal level. But he's got a lot of donors. He's got a lot of online support. And could he get 2% in 4 polls? 130,000 donors, I think he could definitely get. He may already be there.
Look, respect. He'll go on. Anyone who wants to have a real conversation,
Absolutely.
He goes on lots of my conservative friends, radio shows, podcasts, TV shows. Stand-up guy with all that stuff, and I think that in this environment, people respect that.
Yeah.
That's why people are doing more and more of these Fox News town halls, by the way, as well, which is also good for them.
Yeah.
So what's on your mind, Krystal?
Well, I'm looking this morning at Lordstown, which of course a well-known auto plant, large auto plant in Ohio that it looked like was going to be shut down. And, this is a big problem for President Trump, because he came into office not just saying, I'm going to make the economy great at the sort of macro level, but he really specifically promised these areas that have been struggling with globalization and with automation and losing jobs to China and other places, that he was going to revive their economies specifically. And also, look, Americans have a nostalgic attachment to the auto industry, so we always follow sort of the job losses in that industry more closely than other things. So President didn't like that GM was shutting this plant down. He tweeted out, where's the tweet? I have it here somewhere. After the announcement that the jobs had been lost, that he had a deal in place. Great news for Ohio. Just spoke to Mary Barra, CEO of General Motors, who informed me that subject to a UAW agreement, GM will be selling their beautiful Lordstown plant to Workhorse, where they plan to build electric trucks. Well, what is Workhorse? So New York Times did a little digging, and it turns out that Workhorse is maybe not such a great contender to buy this large auto plant. First of all, they have basically not been profitable. They're a very small company, very new company. New York Times called them a corporate cipher. They would have to raise millions and millions of dollars to be able to actually pull this off. The Republican mayor of the town says he has more questions than he has answers. So Workhorse or show horse, was this just for the cameras so Trump could claim he has a deal? And it looks to be, Buck, like this is basically the Trump University of Ohio. In other words, a fraud. And look, I mean, it's just one plant, right? Mm-hmm. But I think these things matter. Again, if you're looking at the Midwestern states where this presidential election will be won or lost, these sorts of symbolic gains or losses punch way above their weight. When you think about Obama's reelection, right? What was the bumper sticker? It was
Bin Laden's
dead, GM is alive. And
even though GM actually should have forced a real restructuring, but that's a whole other conversation.
That didn't fit as well on a bumper sticker.
It did not fit as well on a bumper sticker.
I think this is a real problem for him. I think it's something that people are going to watch closely. Again, Lordstown, well known, and he made a lot of very specific promises there, and it looks like it's not panning out.
Here's bold pundit prediction that we will obviously have to play back if in fact I am right. If you are correct and this is just a harbinger of bigger economic turmoil to come and the economy turns against Trump, he loses re-election.
Well,
if the economy's strong, I think he wins.
And there's also, right, after Obama, this economy has been on the upswing for a while, right? And I know you're gonna, that's not where I'm going.
After Obama.
It's true though. I mean, that's not where I'm going though. But people felt like, okay, at the macro level, sure, unemployment's going down, stock market's doing well. I'm not doing well. And Trump came in with a very specific promise that he was going to make those places where they'd lost people, they'd lost jobs, they'd lost kind of the heart of the community, he was going to bring those places back. And that's maybe an impossible task. It's a very difficult task, and it's one that he has not delivered on. This is another example of that.
I'm sure the president disagrees with you, Krystal. Maybe he'll even tweet at you about it. We'll have to see what he's able to come up with.
One can only hope.
That will be an amazing day. It will happen at some point, by the way. Next on Rising. As more states test the limits of Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court hints at how the justices might handle the issue with their Planned Parenthood decision.
We're going to discuss that case with the president of the National Organization of Women. That when Rising returns.